Huge breaking news. And this will impact your choice of where to retire to. I'm telling you right now, man. A wave of things to come. This is crazy. So my wife and I were sitting there making dinner last night. We watch. She likes to have the news on the background, the local news, WSB, and breaking news: Wellstar Medical or Atlanta Medical Center in Midtown Atlanta is shutting its doors, kind of unexpectedly. In fact, the mayor did not know about it. Really, no one knew about it, and and it's pretty big. It's a pretty big deal. Now, where this place, let me show you where this place is. It's over by where Maddie goes. It's over by Georgia Tech. So here's Wellstar Atlanta Medical Center. Here's the Emory University Hospital, Midtown. You're like, well, they got a hospital right there. No, you're missing. I'll show you why this isn't the same as that. And here's Georgia Tech. Right here's Georgia Tech football field. So there's Maddie, where she goes to grad school at Georgia Tech. So here's a Wellstar, and they got Martin Luther King Jr. National. So this is Midtown Atlanta. All right. So Wellstar is closing suddenly. Wellstar to close Atlanta Medical Center amid labor shortages and inflation. Now, that's what they're saying, but I'm telling you, man, there's so much more to this, and you better take note, especially if you're going to retire to a place where they got good hospitals, because I'm telling you, man, this is a wave to the future. It's funny. It's actually funny in a way, because you can see this a mile away. And you advocates of single payer, you don't know what awaits for you. You don't know what. You think National Health Service in England and the Canadian Health Service is great. And you don't know what waits for you. It's going to be fun to witness. It's actually not going to be fun. I feel bad, but there's nothing we can do about it, so we might as well laugh while the house is burning. Let's just laugh. Wellstar Health System is closing its Atlanta Medical Center. The company confirmed on Wednesday. Falling revenue along with increasing costs for staff and supplies are to blame. Interesting. Let's see. The closure reflects nationwide labor shortages and inflationary pressures that are affecting multiple industries. For example, Massachusetts' largest health system, Mass General Brigham, cited inflation and labor shortages for its financial losses earlier this month. Wellstar's decision has set off a wave of criticism from people and organizations who feel the closure will strain Atlanta's metro healthcare system. You think? The mayor said, I require immediate information about your company's plans, what you'll do to mitigate the enormous health and economic impacts the closure will have on our community. Atlanta Medical Center, and here's the key. Atlanta Medical Center is one of 2 level 1 trauma centers in Atlanta that provide urgent care to victims of car crashes and violence. Grady Memorial is the other. So anytime there's a shooting in Atlanta, you always hear the reports of the guy is recovering from Grady. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a rapper who has a brewery down here, a brew pub, one of only 2 Atlanta black-owned breweries or something. I don't care. And he got abducted and shot a number of times. It's crazy. I don't know this guy's name. I just don't care. But anyways, the point being is, he was recovering in Grady. You always hear. So anytime you hear Grady, you think gunshots and violence. Well, the only other one was Wellstar, the Atlanta Medical Center in Midtown, over by where Maddie goes to school, over by where Georgia State is. Not an idyllic place to retire by any stretch of the imagination. Now, I'm telling you right now, there's going to be more to the story, so check this out. So Wellstar is saying, well, what are we supposed to do? We just don't have enough people, man. We don't have enough people. We have, the inflation, the labor shortages. And then Grady says, who works, or the last remaining game in town, says, Wellstar has clearly prioritized profits over people. Huh? Well, Wellstar is ironic because Wellstar is a nonprofit. And the announcement, the nonprofit health system. All the nonprofit stuff is such a scam. I want to work for a nonprofit because I don't like profits. They're bad. It's such a freaking scam. Probably the only righteous nonprofit is probably Goodwill. I'm literally just saying that blanket, but a lot of nonprofits are just money grubbing people. There's no other way around that. Goodwill is not. Goodwill is a legit one. Again. If you're working for a good nonprofit, don't take that. I'm painting with a broad brush, I grant you. But there are a lot of nonprofits that are scumbags. Just a fact. So if you're a good nonprofit, put in the doobly-doo down below, and I'll just let people know that you work for a nonprofit that is not scumbags. All right, so let's Oh, Grady runs over capacity daily. Wonder why that would be. Oh, because violence is becoming out of control in Atlanta. And this decision by Wellstar to abandon the community will further strain our operations, particularly our emergency room. So I don't know how it worked with ERs and COVID. I don't know if you all know. Comment: did you get paid more in the ER for COVID patients? I don't know. I just find it ironic that they're closing down now after the COVID stuff is behind us, which is interesting. And I don't know the answer to that. I'm just speculating here that it's interesting they did not shut down before, but it's not labor cost and inflation. I'll show you what the actual cost is. It's an indictment on single payer right here, full stop. All right, and Wellstar has invested more than $350 million into the facility. So obviously they weren't all that worried about shutting down when they invested in the facility when they bought the place in 2015. They lost $40 million in fiscal 2021 and $75 million in fiscal 2020. So I don't know if COVID actually, I don't know how that works, but they're citing a loss for closing down. However, their flagship Kennestone Hospital in Marietta had $190 million in revenue in 2021, which is much greater than the 124 they had in 2020. Now remember, revenue doesn't equal profits, but the difference in revenue may reflect the income levels of the community that these two hospitals serve. Higher income areas are more likely to bring in patients who can pay the bills, i.e. insured patients. People who don't use the ER as their personal health insurance. Illegal immigrants who don't call 911 and use the friggin' ambulance services as their personal health insurance, and then then the hospital gets stuck with the bill. If you think this is only happening in urban areas, you're crazy. I guarantee flipping to you the same is happening in rural areas up in Maine, for instance. A lot of people don't have health insurance. They're using the Medicaid system, which reimbursement rates are low to begin with, which is why doctors don't like taking Medicaid patients. We know this. And I know I had a client of mine who's a retired Air Force guy. And he went and he lived in Dallas, Georgia, but he since moved closer to a VA facility because his wife went to get service and he's on TRICARE. They put her behind a Medicaid patient, even though she was the wife of a guy who was not KIA, but full military injury, a real injury military in Iraq and Afghanistan. The reimbursement rates for TRICARE outside of VA facilities are incredibly low too. These guys don't want you, man. They're going to put you on. They're going to wait. You're going to wait. You're going to wait. You're going to wait. I'm just telling it because the reimbursement rates are low. Medicaid reimbursement rates are low. And then you factor in where the illegal immigrants and the uninsured live. Well, it's these urban areas that are decaying. So you have increasing costs because of increasing crime, decreasing ability to pay because of just insanity in the health insurance system. The reimbursement rates are low, if any, because again, if they can't ID you, how are they going to get reimbursed? You can see it's a mile away. The point being is if you're looking at retiring, for heaven's sake, dude, you better find a place that has a good potential income. Because if you don't, you're going to have uninsured people. Uninsured people lead to chaos in the hospital scenarios. There's just no two ways around this, my friends. Of course, number one is get your freaking ass in shape, man. Pardon my French. Get in shape. Get in shape. Take a walk. Stop watching Netflix all day long. Look, I like sugar as much as the next guy, and I worry about my little bit of a belly, but walk. Eat low carb foods. Give up the potato chips. Get out there. Get some sleep. Give up the soft drinks. Give up the alcohol. The number one way to ensure that you don't need to be in these hospital systems is get your butt in gear, man. Take charge of your health. But a lot of people don't want to do that. They want to leave it to the government to say, oh, I don't want, and not you. If you're watching this, I guarantee this isn't going to be applicable to you. But they want the big daddy government. Well, and then the Congress lady who represents this, she's blaming it that there's not enough Medicaid, that the government Kemp hasn't increased Medicaid enough. I'm like, as if increasing Medicaid is going to solve the problem. Nancy Pelosi's on the same trick. This is coming across the country. I'm just telling you right now with single payer. The nice thing about America is going to be awful hard to make it single payer or and nothing, i.e., there'll probably still be a private insurance facilities, and as such, those who have the means. My understanding is what happens in Mexico. You have the basically the free facility by the taxpayer, and then you got the private facility. That if you want to pay more, you get better. You just get better service and coverage, and the same thing's going to happen here. Anyway, I'm going to retire to Midtown because of high rises and all these restaurants. It's going to be great. These restaurants are going to close down. Oh, by the way, let's just say you're a doctor and you bought one of these buildings in there, knowing full well that Atlanta Medical Center is there. You're going to have this forever constant movement of people and traffic and patients and whatnot. Now AMC says I'm closing down, and now you're like, I'm leveraged 90% loan to value. Who's going to buy your building out from under you, dude? You got 9% loan to value. You're not going to be able to sell that house for a dollar or that building because that building was contingent on there being Atlanta Medical Center right there. Now you're in Midtown Atlanta. No one's going to want to buy that building at fair market value, what you think is fair market value. Just another reason not to be leveraged. Anyway, keep looking, man. This is going to happen more and more. I guarantee you can see this a mile away. The urban areas are declining in front of our eyes. But just because this happened in the urban areas doesn't mean the rural areas are exempt. They're the same thing. Look, you go up to Maine, there's a lot of, I tell you, man, this is why when people want to make this a black and white thing is idiotic. There are a lot of people riding the welfare rolls in Maine who should be getting a job. Just a fact. It's just there are less of them because it's rural. You see what I'm saying? Or less of them that you read about, but it's the same thing happening. And these hospitals can't afford it, dude. They can't. Now, be advised. You heard it here first. We'll see you.